Because I've been seeing this kind of video pop up every so often, I've decided to take my own spin on it. And what better topic to tackle than the leaf juice we've literally killed each other over that has built and destroyed empires. The thing sitting in your cupboards and your pantries that your ancestors have literally died over. What up, party people? My name is Noble, and welcome back to my quaint little video diary. And in today's video, we are tackling the video subject that I've been seeing everywhere on my For You page for now, and so I've decided to tackle it with the topic of tea. Quick note and disclaimer before we get into things. Tea. Not all tea, but the most fundamental teas, the truest of teas, all come from either two variations of the same plant, the Camellia sinensis, or the Camellia assamica. We have the sinensis variation of Camellia sinensis that provides teas with more sweet and sophisticated flavors, and Camellia assamica that provides teas with more bold and powerful tastes. We also have other variations of the camellia, such as the cambode, which is a hybrid of the two plants. We have the cambodi and the thaliensis, but let's just say for the sake of this video that there are only two variations of the camellia plant, sinensis and botanica, and all true forms of teas come from either one of these two sources. And no, we are not going to be ranking these teas from best to worst. I'm going to be doing that once I get out of my laughably dire financial situation to experience the over 100 different forms and variations of tea. Taste is completely subjective. Some prefer weak whites, others prefer bold Assams. No, what we are going to be doing today is leveling these teas based on a variety of factors, such as the depth of the brew's flavor, the processing complexity, the nature of its growth, and how they are generally appreciated by tea connoisseurs such as moi. Meaning we are going from the most delicate and simple to the most boldest and complicated and complex. So without any further palaver, let's get right on with the video. This is the 7 levels of tea. Level 1, herbal tea. Before we even think of dipping our crusty little toes into the complex pool of tea, we are going to address all other forms of tea. We as humans, as a species, developed this conscience. If it has essence, if it has flavor, if it's not poisonous, if there's even a single drop of fluid running through it, we can turn it into tea. And that conscience carries us into what we can define as herbal teas. Essentially, any form of tea that doesn't come from any variations of the camellia plant is labeled as herbal tea. Other names include floral teas, scented teas, and blooming teas. This means teas that are born from flowers, herbs, fruits, spices, plants, or infusions of any one, two, or more of the aforementioned sources. Which you can't really give herbal teas a distinct flavor profile because of the wide variations and forms of leaves and types that can give herbal teas. And because there are so many variations, you are bound to get so many different and complex flavors and aromas and styles depending on the source and the processing. Key examples of herbal teas include the iconic yerba mate, butterfly pea, lavender, chamomile, hibiscus, peppermint, ginger, nettle, sassafras tea, which is tea made from the root of trees, oak bark tree, willow tree, peach tea, and many, many, many more. Level 2, white tea. White tea is the most minimally processed of all the teas, where the leaves and or buds are typically withered and dried without the kill-green step. Now, in tea making, the kill-green step, also known as de-enzyming, is a process where you halt the oxidation or fermenting of the tea leaves and buds while they are still fresh by heating the leaves in high temperatures through methods such as pan frying, hot weather, steam, and what this basically does is that it denaturalizes and it breaks the enzyme that causes the tea leaves and buds to age. And because the tea leaves or buds haven't undergone the kill-green step, they are the least oxidized. In other words, they are the most fresh. After plucking, they are then dried and baked in airflow machines. This is what we do nowadays, but back then, we would dry it in two ways. You would either dry it in the sun, in which case it will be called shaiqing, or sun tea, or you would dry them in the moonlight. Then it is called wei guangbai, or moonlight white, or moonlight jasmine. There's also silver needle white tea, or bai hao yin zheng. Typically, the flavor of white teas is that while they are sweet, they are more light and subtle and delicate because they are the least processed of all the teas, with floral fruity notes derivative of peach, melon, cucumber, and apricot. The reason it is this quote-unquote low on the list is because You're not supposed to enjoy the flavor of the tea, more so the subtlety, nuance, and experience of drinking the tea, which is why to most newcomers or people with an untrained palate, I don't mean to offend anyone here, it can often taste like lightly flavored hot water. And it is often the starting point to experiencing pure tea without all the processing flourish. Level 3. Green tea. Green tea is considerably the most popular form of tea in the planet, with various different forms and variations. Matcha, Moroccan mint, longqing, jasmine, bancha, gunpowder, gyokuro, bilwocheng, dragon's well, genmaicha. And what makes all these green teas is the fact that they're all, well, green, and the fact that they have undergone the kill green step. The flavor profile of green tea is generally varying between fresh and grassy or earthy notes to a bit nutty and buttery, so either steamed asparagus or chestnut. Although green teas provide a more defined flavor than white teas, then while it is all about purity and freshness, it can taste and become astringent if not brewed properly. Level 4. Yellow tea. This is the most rare and costly of all the tea, based on its processing nature alone, mainly because it isn't as common as all the other teas and there isn't a large enough market interest despite growing demand right now. In fact, even in the field of dedicated tea connoisseurs and tea growers and tea makers and tea sellers, there is still a huge feud about what exactly defines yellow tea and how it should be processed. But generally speaking, while white tea is unprocessed and green tea is white tea undergoing the kill green step, yellow tea goes another step where after the kill green step, they are fixed, which is another term of the kill green step. They are remoistured with wet sheets of cloth and or paper for a couple of days or hours, and then they are re-dried. This step molds the tea's biology and taste in such a profound and major way that it allows these teas to be considered its own separate category of yellow teas. But this process of remoisturizing and re-drying is very costly and very risky because you have to ensure that you don't ruin the leaf or bud or promote the growth of mold. And because of such risks and procedures, it commands a higher price. As for the flavor profile, it's been described as less grassy than green tea and more mellow and soft with an almost velvety touch to the tongue and very slight touches of sweetness. Level 5. Oolong tea. Basically the most complex, the most nuanced, and the most vast of all the teas. Oolong tea is partially oxidized, usually 15 to 85%, and the leaves or buds are purposefully damaged, for lack of a better term, skillfully rolled, bruised, and fired, and there is a wide variation to these techniques employed in order to create oolong that birth many different variations and many different variations of taste in oolong. You can get fresh and fruity, almost floral notes akin to gardenias or dandelion in light oolongs, or you can get dark, creamy, nutty, bold notes of honey and caramel and almond in dark oolongs. The reason I level this tea here is because at this stage of oolong tea, tea becomes art and the processing formation becomes an art form. Because of the vast ways to process oolong combined with the masterful skills of processing, it creates so many complex layers of tastes and aromas and sensations, and it is the only form of tea that offers such a profound complexity. Level 6. Black tea. Also known as red tea in China, black tea is completely processed tea. Okay, almost completely processed. But no kill green step is followed. After the tea leaves and bud are processed and completely darkened after oxidization, they are withered, rolled, and heated. Now, there is a good reason why black tea is the most consumed form of tea in the world. Not comparing it to green teas, which is the most famous form of tea in the world. I'm talking about the most consumed form of tea, which is black teas. And that is because black teas are the most sharpest and robust and strongest tasting of all the teas. Common notes include malt, stone fruit, chocolate, and spices with Chinese variations holding smoother notes of sweet potato. It pairs strongly with milk and sugar, making it a statement in many different cultures and households, such as China, Russia, India, Turkey, Sri Lanka, and Morocco. It's very straightforward in its boldness, and that is where the strength of black tea lies, even if it lacks the level of complexity that is present in other variations of tea. Level 7. Dark tea. Also known as Heicha, with the most common in the dark tea family being the pu-erh variation, with 90% of all dark tea in the market and demand being pu-erh. Dark tea is tea post-fermentation. Each leaf and bud contains microbial action that transforms these teas as they age, kind of like wine. And just like wine, the taste gets richer and deeper, and the price gets heavier and valuable as it ages. There are two ways to process heicha, sheng and xiao, or ripe and raw. They are both very complex methods of processing dark tea, and I am so sorry to generalize, but generally speaking, sheng pu-erh is naturally processed pu-erh tea, which means it's naturally aged over a long period of time, at least a minimum of 10 years, with earthy, aged, and dark notes similar to old books, peat, dirt, and dates. Meanwhile, shou pu-erh is aged faster in order to imitate the length of time that ages sheng pu-erh, in a process almost similar to composting. And with the shou pu-erh, you get sweet, sour, umami taste flavors, almost like minerals. They are all compressed into cakes and bowls and bricks for easier shipping and selling. A well-aged pu-erh is considered a prize of a gift in the tea world. And although the flavors are more of an acquired taste, pu-erh/heicha is a deeply revered tea for the character in its taste, for the deep complexity in its taste, for how much it is valued for its processing nature, and its many, many health benefits. The culture and surrealesque depth behind dark tea are what makes dark tea so jia. And so there we have it, mates. The 7 levels of tea. Thank you so much for sticking around through the whole length of this video. Thank you so much for watching me rant about tea. Comment down below any more additional information you have about anything regarding tea. I would really love to know more about this complex world that is tea. Please consider liking, subscribing, hyping, and all that jazz. And may you have the day you so rightfully deserve.